on YouTube, and I'm going to open it up for everyone to start coming in. And yeah, we're starting to have some people come in, so I'll wait a minute or so for someone to join.
All right.
Sorry for that feedback. I'll just wait another minute. Okay, welcome everyone. So this talk is a Green New Deal for further and higher education. And our two speakers on this talk is Zoe from Students Organising for Sustainability UK and Marianne, who's from UCU. As always with a lot of our webinars this week, you can add your comments in the chat function. And then if you use the Q&A function for any questions and things that you have for our speakers, then it just helps keep track. So I'll hand you over to Zoe and Marianne.
Super, thank you, Lewis. So welcome everyone to this session. Thank you so much for joining us live. So I'll introduce you to the things that we're going to go over today. So the first bit, we'll talk about what exactly is the Green New Deal, how the Green New Deal relates to further education and higher education. What does the UCU and SOS Green New Deal involve? How can your Students' Union get involved? And then there'll be some sort of Q&A between myself and Marianne, and then we'll open up for you to also ask your own questions and have a bit more of a discussion. So I also just firstly wanted to give a quick introduction to Students Organising for Sustainability. Many of you will be familiar with it now, but for those who aren't, SOS UK is an educational charity created by students and staff at NUS in response to the climate emergency and ecological crisis. So we kind of officially set up back in October. And we have sort of three streams as part of our mission. And the first one is getting more students leading on and learning about sustainability. The second is embedding sustainability in formal education from early years to adult learning. And our third stream is making sustainability more inclusive so that it is for everyone. So within SOS, we do a lot of research and covering lots of different sustainability topics and themes. And some of our findings have given these results, which say 88% of students say they agree their place of study should actively incorporate and promote sustainable development. 80% would like to see sustainable development actively incorporated and promoted through all courses. And 59% say sustainable development is something that they would like to learn more about. And obviously there's obviously always reasons behind these figures and the responses that we get, and maybe they would be higher if some students aren't maybe sure what exactly sustainable development is. That might affect their answer. And we'd like to we are seeing these figures increasingly going up as well. So kind of responding to the student demand is really crucial, and kind of embedding sustainability across our campuses, curriculums and communities is really fundamental to making sure that we are responding to this and representing our students and strengthening our students' unions. So this demand across the student body is nationwide, and that shows that we need to work collectively for wider scale reform and to bring quicker transformation to education and our educational institutions. And that is why we want a Green New Deal for HE and FE. So back in March at NUS National Conference, a policy was passed on declaring a climate emergency Green New Deal for FE and HE. And this proposal was kind of brought forward by a selection of students' unions. And this is what has really laid the groundwork for NUS and UCU to campaign for a Green New Deal. And obviously NUS are now delivering all their sustainability kind of work through SOS UK. So SOS will be supporting officers and student unions to work with their local UCU branches to campaign for local Green New Deal policies. And it's down to kind of these local branches, your local communities, to shape your own policies. And we'll kind of go into what that may include later on. So what is the Green New Deal? The Green New Deal is a package of policies which aim to address the climate crisis, ecological emergency, and economic inequality. So climate justice is really like central and at the core of the Green New Deal. And it provides a framework for institutions to decarbonize in ways that tackle inequality and enhance the lives of ordinary people, workers, and communities. So the kind of name refers back to the New Deal, which was a set of social and economic reforms and public works projects undertaken by Roosevelt in response to the Great Depression. But it was kind of used the first time it was used to kind of describe the ambition and urgency needed like specifically in response to the climate crisis. That was first used in 2007 by a journalist based in New York. Sorry if there's some background noise. There's something going on outside, but hopefully it's not disturbing too much. So yeah, in the UK, the Green New Deal has broadly been described under 5 principles to guide a policy. And these 5 principles kind of make sure that it's around kind of, again, centering that climate justice. So it's talking about decarbonisation, but how people and low carbon jobs are really central to that. So if we're looking at a Green New Deal in the context of FE and HE, we've kind of bringing together a policy set by both UCU and NUS within a negotiating and bargaining framework. So the Green New Deal demands for colleges and universities will include that the institution declares a climate emergency, agrees concrete time-limited action plans on embedding meaningful environmental policies, want to see them climate-proofing their curriculums, signing up to ethical investments and banking strategies, reviewing food and land use and travel policies, and making carbon and energy management commitments. So Goldsmiths kind of have set the way already, and last year they set up their campaign for a Green New Deal, and have really set out an inspirational green print for taking forward this joint approach within our branches and institutions. So Goldsmiths is the one place that are already working on this and really setting some good examples of how to frame this and showing how effective it can be to have this collaborative approach. And within the demands, it would be down to each kind of local UCU branch and students' union to really get into those specifics of those demands and shape what you want to see, what kind of targets and outcomes you would like to see within each of those kind of themes and areas. So we've also got on the call with us Marianne Quick, who is from UCU. So I'm going to ask Marianne to introduce herself, and then I'm going to ask Marianne some questions to kind of, so you can hear a bit more about what, like, the collaboration with UCU, and a bit more about how this process is going to roll out. So Marianne, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks very much, Zoe. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Marianne. I work as a bargaining and negotiations official for the University and College Union, who I'm sure most of you are aware of, but we're the trade union that represents university and college staff. We've got approximately 130,000 members at the moment. And my job is to look after the climate and sustainability brief for UCU and progress policy that has been set at our annual congresses, like Zoe's talked about there. So the Green New Deal as a claim is a new approach to how we've dealt with sustainability in the past as a union. And it's very much trying to be proactive in tackling the climate emergency now, as we would do in other areas of which we bargain within local branches. So whether that's bargaining over terms and conditions, we very much see now climate and sustainability as a major point on which our branches should be bargaining, and we think that the best way of going about this is to doing it alongside local students' unions.
So you've kind of touched upon this already, but I was going to say our first question that we do have for you, Marianne, is can you tell us why UCU is championing a Green New Deal for colleges and university, and how does this link to UCU's wider mission?
Okay, so for years now, our union has been championing climate justice and climate change issues within the trade union movement. And not all trade unions have that same approach, because some of them represent workers in very carbon heavy industries. So ourselves and other public sector unions like PCS have had more of a proactive approach to climate change. So UCU helped found the Greener Jobs Alliance and the Trade Union Clean Air Network, and our policy opposes fracking and airport expansion, unlike some other unions. We've also called for a climate justice fund to be established by wealthy polluting nations. And given our long-standing commitment to equality, we also recognise that climate change is a social justice issue, and that the consequences of climate change aren't distributed equally. So we have got a track record of being on this, and we also tabled the motion at last year's Trade Union Congress around supporting the student climate strikes, and having workers stand in solidarity with students, and we want to build on that that work, and yeah, really sort of make the case that climate change is a trade union issue across the movement. So we do have a seat at the table with the TUC around tackling climate change and approaches to a just transition for workers in carbon heavy industries, and opportunities for retraining, reskilling and rebuilding communities around sustainable workplaces. So we've committed quite a lot of resources now to developing this area of work. We've got 350 green reps based around different branches in different institutions across the UK. And we've got a green reps training programme, which this Green New Deal has also got its own training programme for our branch officers there. So yeah, we believe that this Green New Deal approach will help challenge universities and colleges from just ticking the box and greenwashing a lot of their policies into really meaningful changes, especially at a curriculum level.
Thank you. So yeah, Marion has just sort of said there about how they're sort of training their reps to be delivering this and kind of working on this bargaining and negotiating and yeah, pushing for the policy. And SOS will be delivering training for part-time and full-time officers, specifically kind of E&E, ethical, environmental, sustainability officers, but it's completely open to any officer who wants to sign up. I'll give you some more details about that in a bit, but it will be through these officer roles and students' unions more broadly that will be able to work together and push this forwards. So Marianne, our second question for you is, how are local UCU branches going to be working on a Green New Deal this summer and throughout the coming academic year?
Yeah, so I've just said we've got our Green New Deal training programme, which started this week. We've got 20 branch officers from different branches on that at the moment, from both FE and HE. And we also have an observer from Sweden, from a trade union in Sweden, who are really interested in how we're doing this joint approach on that course. And the infographic you've got up at the moment, this is a very simplified stepped approach to how we are envisaging the preparation and progress of the model claim in each institution. So it's very much a twin track approach and an action group focused approach as well. So what we're asking branches to do is assess the current position, but also to reach out to their local students' unions in finding out who to contact, who to work with, and who to start this sort of piece of work with. So there may be some inquiries made of local students' unions about who's going to lead on their side. So yeah, so that's step one, is what our current branch organisation is, and for some branches as well who are currently facing job cuts, especially in HE, where that's more prevalent at the moment, we're asking them to consider Green New Deal approaches to defending jobs. So that might be looking at ways in which institutions can save and have saved money over international travel budgets, for example, that haven't taken place over the past 4 to 5 months. It will be looking at diverting staffing resources where courses may not be running in September, but those staff could be, rather than being made redundant, could be looking at developing and devising really exciting new curriculums that embeds climate and sustainability into new programmes going forward. So that's the sort of priority areas across the summer, and obviously being ready for when the new semester starts in September, to really start pushing forward what local claims might look like.
Excellent, thanks. And you said there about with the kind of UCU reps that they'll be getting guidance on how to reach out to their SUs. Have you got any tips of how SUs can reach out and collaborate with their local UCU branches, and how they can find out who to get in touch with?
Yeah, most of our colleges and universities have active UCU branches. If anybody had trouble finding who their contacts were, then you can email UCU directly and we can put you in touch. So that'd be at environment@ucu.org.uk. I'll put the link in the chat, and we can put you in touch. And then if it was for green reps in particular, we can link you up with those individuals as well. And not all branches may be ready to pick this up. So we're also quite keen, if there was a local students' union that wanted to progress this, then we can see how we might support and resources from a national or regional point of view, where there might not be a local UCU branch who have got the capacity to take this on.
Excellent, thanks for that. So now we're going to open up to questions from anyone who's joined us here. So I guess you can use the Q&A function or put in the chat box. Yeah, send out any questions to us, and we'll see what we can do to kind of share our tips and advice. As well, if I don't know if there's anyone from Goldsmiths on this call, but if they have any top tips to share, they might also want to put that in the chat box.
I'll also just put up, we've had a world chart designed over the past couple of months around the climate emergency, which is a nice thing to put up on your walls when you get back to your SUs. I've put the link to that as well in the chat box. You should be able to see, and the email list for their email address for our UCU environment work.
And expanding a little bit more on about the training for SU sabbatical officers or part-time officers. So on the 16th and 17th of September, SOS are going to be running a sustainability officer boot camp. And that's a 2-day kind of boot camp training session and workshop. And it's going to cover a selection of kind of themes around sustainability and climate. But Green New Deal is going to be a big part of that, and kind of training you to feel prepared to work on this. So we'll send information about how you can sign up to that. I'll give you all a few more moments to have the opportunity to ask any questions if you wish.
Yeah, and just more broadly, I'll do a bit of fill-in, quite happy to do that. I think we've got to get to a place where institutions are not going to make the changes that we need to address the climate emergency quickly enough unless we do this as a joint endeavour. So it's very much as using bargaining, negotiation, and the levers that we have are industrial levers, but also the expertise and the power of students' unions on the ground in helping institutions take those bigger steps forward. And so it will involve a lot of joint campaigning and writing to governing bodies, council, senates, press, and joint activities and joint action, and some innovative practices around how universities in particular use land and redistribute food waste and those types of things. So we are really looking forward to seeing this develop.
Yeah, no, that's really great advice and points there. So if anyone does want to receive updates about the Green New Deal for HE and FE, and you'd like some support from SOS, put your email in the chat box. We'll keep you informed. Or if you don't want to kind of share in the chat box, then contact me via the email address on the screen there, which is zoe.arnold@sos-uk.org. You can, so there's a resource there, which you can share with your local university or college branches. So we will be sharing soon a template SU policy to campaign on a Green New Deal at your institution. So that's just kind of being put together and finalized. But if we've got your email address, we can share that with you when it's ready to go out. And as I said, we've got the Sustainability Officer Bootcamp. So you can find that on our website. So if you search for Students Organising for Sustainability and our learning opportunity and events and our Learning Academy, you'll see it listed there, but you can also search for it directly on Eventbrite. So you can find Students Organising for Sustainability on Eventbrite.
Just put the link as well to the UCU Green New Deal webinar where it had the speaker from Goldsmiths on there talking about how they approach their campaign and where they're up to now. So I've put that in the chat box, which is available on YouTube.
Great, thanks. And yeah, if you go to, again, you can sort of Google or Ecosia these Goldsmith and Green New Deal, and it will come up with a bit of information about how they've shaped it and the things that they're focusing on. So we'll also just ask you a couple of questions. If you want to put in the chat box, maybe put in a chat box to share if you're interested in this and what students' union you're from. So just put, yes, I'm interested in learning more, and maybe, yeah, what students' union you're from. If you're in a specific role, you could share that as well. Looks like we might be done, but as said, if you think about some of these questions that are on the screen, contact us if you'd like to find out more, or yeah, any kind of queries, please do send them our way. If it's things that you would like to gain greater support on, ideas, need help kind of shaping or knowing where to start, or even knowing how to talk about it with other people and members of staff within your SU, any of these things, please do get in contact with us. And also just, yeah, thank you for joining this session. I think this is really, really exciting, how, yeah, this can kind of create this transformation across our educational institutions. Marianne, do you want to say a quick final words?
No, just yeah, just like Zoe said, if this is something that your local students' union is interested in, and you're wanting to link up with UCU branches locally, and you can't find those contacts locally, then just give us an email, environment@ucu.org.uk, and we'll put you in touch.
Excellent. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you both. Oh, sorry.
That's it.
I was just going to say thank you both, Zoe and Marianne. I know that was a lot of food for thought in that session. And like they both said, please drop them an email if you want to ask anything further. Did you just want to quickly say something, Zoe?
Nope, I think we're done. But as I said, yeah, get in contact if you have any questions.
Cool. Like with all the sessions, this session will also be available and has been recorded, so you can watch it back and share it amongst colleagues, and that will be available on the website. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us.
Bye.